after I graduated from therapy, I had a series of things kind of happened or experienced or witnessed that I wasn't necessarily 100% prepared for. Resolving a lot of the issues from like my childhood and my early 20s and kind of like mid to late 20s allowed for it gave room for other things to kind of come in and fill in. And that some of it was good and some of it was bad. You know, some of the good was I was able to sleep again. I was able to sleep without like needing Benadryl or some type of like medication, Sequel, melatonin, whatever the case is, to be able to sleep. I didn't feel the need to have like any type of anti-anxiety medication. So that was really good. I had found like purpose in work again. I also found myself having better boundaries at work. I found myself being able to like go on vacations without any like shame or like guilt or anything like that. I was also able to just like really have, I think, a better relationship with my parents. There was a lot of things that I had to forgive myself for and also forgive them for. And a lot of great things came from therapy. But then maybe about a month after I stopped seeing my therapist, some big things happened. Some things were, really close to me. And then there were some things that like didn't have to do with me directly, but still highly impacted me. The number one thing that comes to mind is the shooting that happened in Buffalo where that gunman went in, and I shouldn't even say gunman, that domestic terrorist went in and targeted Black people at that grocery store. It was really hard for me to go to the grocery store again. Just a new fear had gotten a chance to really kind of sit in. In addition to that, the overturning of Roe v. Wade as a woman was really tough. Seeing the stories of my other abortion capable receiving people, just sharing the stories of rape, of incest, of bad pregnancies, or I shouldn't say bad pregnancies, but pregnancies with issues, needing to have abortions to save their lives was extremely triggering and just so difficult to hear. And on a more like personal and like local space, here in Arizona, we're currently having or getting ready to have our governor race, election race coming up. And it was really, really tough to see the candidates. Same with just election in general here in Arizona. One, not everybody really represents me as a person. And it just really became kind of having a conversation of one, who's the person closest aligned to, or I think would really be the greater good for everyone. But it's really tough because that person isn't the best person for me. And it's really tough to think about, just how our democracy has kind of come about and all that other kind of stuff. I won't go too far into that because I could talk for years about that specifically. Then even more on an even more micro level, at work, I had a coworker call me angry because of, I won't even go into it because that also could be a whole nother topic, but it was extremely difficult for me to be called angry by a non-Black coworker. It dredged up a whole lot of feelings of me in the corporate workplace that were really tough. Then I was told, that I really needed to work on my interpersonal relationships with people at work. And that was also really tough to hear because I think I'm just such a people person and such an extrovert. It really had me kind of questioning, like, am I as good as I think I am at work? I think I'm producing results. It just really, the imposter syndrome that is always sitting in the back of my mind was really just like coming forward and kicking down the damn door. And I just started to feel even less fulfilled at work. All that fulfillment I had gained, I had kind of lost it. And then as I kind of sat in those feelings and more came out, and seeing the stories of other women and other people who have been put in the face of either needing an abortion or living in a place where, there were trigger bans just waiting to happen. It was really tough. And, the situation at work just wasn't really getting better either. And then just also, I think just in that week or a couple weeks after the shooting in Buffalo, there were multiple mass shootings at religious places of religious worship, schools, the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. It was really tough to watch, especially being in a state that is very pro-guns. It was really tough, and I found myself not just being depressed, but really anxious. I found myself fearful, and I want to use fear specifically because that is what I felt. And I want to take the time to actually just go ahead and define what fear exactly is, so everyone can better understand where I'm coming from in this video. So the definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. And that's what I felt. I was afraid. I still am a little afraid that if I leave my house, or even if my fiance leaves the house, like something is very likely, more likely than not, dangerous to happen. And it feels really weird for me, especially because I am a people person. I'm an extrovert. I love experiences. That's what I'm all about. And the things that I love absolutely have been just bringing me just absolute dread. And so then that started a wonderful analysis paralysis research project of how do I feel safe again? How do I arrive back at safety? And after a few weeks of really like researching it and diving into the throes of Reddits and subreddits and, posting and trying to figure out what exactly is safety and how do I get there, I realized that I was treating safety as a destination, that you just arrive at safety and then you're safe. And that's not the case. Safety is absolutely, as cheesy as it sounds, safety is a journey, and you're constantly always working towards being safe, getting to a safe place, or just being safe. It's active, it's consistently active. And then even further in that journey, taking it one step ahead, I realized that I am treating the healing portion of my life also as a destination. Not only am I treating healing as a destination, I'm also treating it as if it's linear. That like, I'm always gonna make progress forward, I'm always gonna do this, and I'm always gonna overachieve because that's what I did in therapy. And now that I have started to regress and I don't feel safe, I wasn't using the tools that I had learned in therapy to build a lifestyle change. I realized I was really using those tools and those things that I learned in therapy as continuing to practice a really reactive lifestyle. As much as I knew and found being proactive and putting myself first, putting the things that made me feel good first, I found myself only doing that the moment I felt unsafe or I felt like something was wrong. And I now see I can't do that, and I really need to work towards creating this lifestyle. I'm real big on preaching and resharing memes and telling friends like, oh yeah, you gotta create the lifestyle, you gotta create it. And I'm a fraud. I am a false prophet of that. And so now I realize that's what I need to do. There are things I need to do to practice being safe and continuing the journey of safety, as well as continuing the journey of healing and turning it from healing into that's just my life. I live a positive, proactive lifestyle that I don't need to heal from. And that space is a really weird space to be right in between the like healing, healed, transition into a life where I don't need healing from. So now what? What exactly does that mean? That I've had the realization that I've been living really reactively when I need to be living proactively, that I need to make that transition from healing to a life that I don't need to heal from. Great question. I don't really have the answer, because the more and more I researched it, I found myself just really being in analysis paralysis and not really moving forward. I just kept saying, well, I'll try again tomorrow. I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired from work. What do I do next? I don't know. I'm reading articles, I'm reading subreddits, I'm reading other people's opinions, and I didn't stop to think about the most important person's opinion, and that's my own, and my own feelings. So what I did was, and this also encompasses wanting to feel safe again, wanting to feel safe and live a life of safety, actively pursuing to keep myself safe. I kind of broke it into three categories. These are the three categories that, like, when I looked at different things or thought about different things that would either make me feel safe or I think would really make me just overall feel better, they all came back to kind of these three categories, and this is what we're going to stick with. Number one, finances. Financial security is something I didn't really have as a child, so now as an adult, it's super important to me. Mental health and my physical health and wellness. I teeter-tottered between, do I add career in there? But the thing about my career is I don't really know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I like my job now, and I could absolutely make a career out of it, and I'm not planning on just like jumping ship or like trying to make a career change. Also, like, please don't leave comments about how can I break into tech. Here's a fun fact. I'm already in tech. I work at a startup, and the tech girlies and on TikTok are, they're kind of bending the truth a little bit about tech. So career, we're gonna kind of keep to the side until I figure out these things. Otherwise, I also feel like the issues that I'm having in the workplace, I'm gonna continue to have until I work on the things outside of the workplace. So what exactly does that include when we talk about finances, mental health, physical health, and wellness? Going back to therapy. I have started going back to therapy. I'm seeing a new therapist. She's really super, and I'm excited to kind of delve into this a little bit more, especially after kind of being diagnosed with or realizing that the trauma I had as a child and an early adult was more complex PTSD than my original diagnosis many years ago of being bipolar, and kind of looking at how that plays a role into me feeling safe. Mending my relationship with money and budgeting is really big. Like I mentioned, I didn't have really great financial security as a child, a teen, in early adulthood. So now that I'm kind of more established and I have a partner who is really financially savvy, I really want to work on that relationship, because a lot of that relationship with money is very fear-based. It's very scarcity mindset. The psychology there just isn't great. Taking like self-defense classes, making myself physically strong. I have no real interest in being like an MMA fighter. I don't expect, if I were to get mugged, that I want to just take the person on and like completely kick their ass. Those aren't necessarily my goals for feeling physically strong. I just think that if I armed myself with some physical strength or just some typical like know-how of keeping myself safe, I will overall feel better. But also being realistic, I don't think that I'm going to be an MMA fighter. I also don't think trying to be prepared to disarm an active shooter is an obtainable goal. But just trying to physically get strong to make myself feel safe in my own body. Taking more time off from work. I think work really sucks up a lot of my time. We have a busy and a not as busy season, and I'm in the throes of the busy season, and I didn't take the extra step or put the extra bubble wrap and packing peanuts around myself to keep myself safe from the burnout and just the struggle of it being my job's busy time right now. Creating content. As silly as it sounds, and it's been really difficult for me to say that, because I think that it has such a negative connotation with most influencers and the way that influence marketing and people view the internet. But I really enjoy it. I think I have some like really good ideas. I don't think that like I'm the next YouTube sensation or TikTok dancing star, but I do want to share. I've had, some personal connections that like have reached out and have really enjoyed some of the things that I've shared or I've said. And I want to continue to do that. I think that it allows for me to share and help people feel better or feel more confident from home in a place where I feel safe right now. Since going out, I don't feel safe right now, or it's a little more challenging. And also something to kind of challenge that is going to new places and trying new things, both alone and with either my friends or with my fiance, who's really super supportive and understanding, just to be able to push that boundary, because I can't stay home forever. You know, I have to be able to build, and I have to be able to live my life. And so I think by really honing in and focusing on those kind of 3 areas, and the things I shared are just really like high level ideas and just some of the bare bones plan that I've kind of come up with since I've been going back to therapy, and my therapist and I have been talking about these things. But I do think that there's room for a lot more. I also think like the content that I consume needs to be less. I have been consuming a lot of news. I've been consuming a lot of like aesthetic videos, and there's nothing wrong with the aesthetic videos. I love them, but being super realistic, I'm not gonna be able to obtain that, and it makes me feel less than. So just really kind of clearing that stuff out. It also means like something deeper when I look at my mental health or wellness is also kind of the people that I keep close, and that's also like family or like friends or even distant friends, just being really mindful of kind of those relationships. And one, I want to cultivate and deepen the really great ones. And I did a really great job, I think, during the last election, really weeding out some people who like we did not align per se, and people who were saying things really inappropriate. But I think that those were really easy people to cut out, and now it's time to be able to look at like, am I just going through the motions of friendship? Am I just going through the motions of life because that's what society has told me? Or like, am I truly like having authentic relationships with people? So I think all of those things really encompass living a life that I don't need to heal from. And that's kind of what this next series, I feel like I have to have structure and I have to have a series. Otherwise, like, people will get my rants on reptilians. And, you know, there was a Republican governor candidate who did not win the primaries, but he talked about why we can't treat human life the same way that we treat alien life. And I would love to just kind of just sit and rant on that a little bit more, but that's not what this is for. And I think people might think I'm a little even more eccentric than I currently am. So I hope that this really kind of like helps someone, or just kind of like entertaining purposes of just kind of seeing like what somebody goes through to create a life that you don't have to heal from. And something else you won't see is a bunch of specific steps to take, because no one person's journey is the same. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching.